Hi everybody and welcome to another NEPC group podcast, and my name's Charlotte and I'm joined today by the awesome Simon Trenholm. How are you doing, Simon?
I'm really good.
Good.
We've got our third wheel missing, so we should be able to get some words in edgeways here.
That's it, we're just saying it'll probably be a shorter edition this week, won't it? Yeah, obviously Steve can't be with us today. He's had to split himself in three, I think, to be in three different places at once, as always. So we're just
Absolutely.
myself and Simon this week. So how's your week been, Si?
Really good, really good. And the weather hasn't been brilliant, but it hasn't stopped the outside training, which is good. So yeah, everybody's shown up and properly shown up. I'd one of my clients come over for the first time today, and she messaged me to say that I had to sit down, but she really enjoyed it. So that was good.
Brilliant.
Especially since she finished off the session with some, I've just got one of the Rogue Echo bikes, and she finished off the session with some intervals on that. And I think, although she'll never admit it to me, I think she secretly enjoyed it. It's a horrible thing.
It just looks horrible.
Yeah, I've been doing some I mean, it's nice for the sort of long, slow duration stuff. You can really get your heart rate dialed in and keep it, within sort of 1 or 2 beats of 130. But as soon as you start, I've been doing my intervals on it. And the first time I did my intervals on it, I had to take my asthma inhaler, and the first time in about 7 years.
Did you have a bucket next to you as well?
Came out. I've got a cat litter tray in the vicinity. I've only ever done that once, twice. But yeah, it's, oh my God. Because the harder you pedal, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
Wind resistance.
Yeah.
And then trying to get it up somewhere near 1,000 or up over 1,000 watts for, and it's only 10 seconds on and 50 seconds easy. But that 10 seconds, I tell you what, it's more than enough to completely empty, that ATP energy system. Absolutely. So you get into the end and you just think, I've got nothing left. How am I going to pedal now for 50 seconds easy? Obviously you manage it, but yeah.
Is that 10 seconds where time stands still, doesn't it? Those kind of
I tell you what, somebody who's cleverer than me needs to do a PhD on why exercise sprints time slows down.
Really
Einstein was wrong. The time does definitely slow down, and your rest periods definitely speed up.
Oh, I know, yeah. It's even like, even 15, you think 10, 15 seconds, it's nothing, but yeah, it's like there's nothing worse, is there? I think as well, it's just that sort of massive shock to your CNS system, doesn't it? When you're doing that high level of kind of, maximal intensity, it does really shake you up to want to be sick.
But it's also, I mean, as I say, with it being like the assault bike type thing, it's your arms and your legs and your core. It's harder than sprinting on the rower. Sprinting on the rower is hard. But when you're doing sort of 15 seconds, you can only get really a maximum of 6-7 strokes in. And there's only a certain speed you can get to. There's only a certain amount of power you can put into it.
And then when you're pulling as well, that horizontal pulling movement is quite difficult to go really super fast, isn't it? But
but yeah, as I say, because you're pushing and pulling with your arms, and then you're driving your legs. It's just so How's your training been?
Equipment in the gym.
Enough of mine.
He's not one of those.
No.
Oh, good. So busy week then. Busy week for you.
Yeah. What about your training?
So I've had a kind of up and down week with training, really. So I started a strength program on the bells because I had a couple of weeks off Kettlebells, for one reason or another, just life got in the way, I suppose, as it does sometimes. I still carried on my strength training with the NEPC group and a couple of circuits and runs and things, but I had a couple of weeks off the bells. So I got back on them on Monday, which was interesting because, I mean, a lot of people will be able to relate to us that are watching. I know it's like, I was in the foulest of moods when I saw what the sets were. I kind of looked at it on my way to. I had a PT session with a client, and I was on my way to her house, and I looked at it, and I was just, oh. So then I was kind of like walking to my client in a strop, thinking now I have to just switch into client mode now, and everything's happy and fine. Then come out of that session, walking back home in a strop, looking at the session, getting myself beat up. And I know it was because I'd had 2 weeks off of training on the bells. And you know what it's like, you pick the bells up and they're heavy. You know, they're 16 kilos each, so they're heavy, and I don't have any other bells. I haven't got 12s or 14s at the moment. I've got a pair of 16s. So yeah, I was in such a strop. But anyway, I just got on with it. What I always do is I do my warm up, and then I set my timer on my clocks for the different intervals, and I just thought that clock there is my coach. You know, when that bell goes, I'm going. And actually, do you know, I had one of the best sessions ever. It was great. I loved it. And I was so glad I did it. But it was just, you know, it's just one of those where it's happened quite a lot to me in lockdown, where you've just got to turn up and do the work, you know.
It's funny, isn't it? And I think a lot of people, you know, like we were saying earlier, you know, it's going to be the same for people going back to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, kind of not the sort of the frustration of your set, but you know that it's going to be something different.
Yeah.
There's that little bit of trepidation. As I say, I've had a client over for the first time, face to face today, and she was saying she was nervous coming over.
Yeah.
And then she messaged me and said, you know, how much she'd enjoyed it. As I say, even going on the bike to finish as well, she even enjoyed that. So, and I think a lot of people are, you know, I mean, next weekend, obviously, it's D-Day. And I think you're going to get people, there's two parts to it. You know, you've got that fear and trepidation of what it's going to be like and what's it going to be like when I get back in. And then you've got, I think people are going to be nervous as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
as well, because I think, you know, we've, as you've seen, and Steve's done a walk around of what our gym's going to look like and what it's going to entail. But yeah, it's that almost like the fear of the unknown, isn't it? And that, especially when everyone's gone through such a massive change from not being able to go out and go to the gym, and then they've adjusted to that. And then whilst everybody's really excited to get back to the gym, there is going to be another level of adjustment again and change. And we don't like change, do we?
Yeah.
You know,
it's the only thing that's constant, isn't it? Is change.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that, you know, we have got going for us in the gym is it's not like a commercial gym. It's not, you know, your gym partner doesn't turn up because, you know, well, what are the top 10 excuses? My elbow hurts, my back hurts, my knee hurts, you know,
blah,
blah, blah, blah.
Tired about a big day.
We've got a real community up there.
Yeah.
You know, you walk into the gym, you always know 15 people, 10 people, however many people are in there.
Yeah.
You know, there might be 2 people that you don't know, and then the rest of the people, you know, everybody does know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's getting back to that community feel, isn't it? And that sort of, you know, everybody encouraging everybody. You know, where, you know, some pretty special things happen in terms of PBs and stuff.
Yeah, that's
because you've got that community feel.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I think, you know, and we'll definitely get that back. I have every confidence that we'll get that back because it is a great environment that we've all created. You know, and I think it's just going to be that we'll just have, you know, you'll be able to all get that camaraderie and that spirit. You just won't be able to stand outside your box.
Box and without hugging.
Yeah, and you can't face to face. So there's So yeah, I have no doubt that we'll get that back. And I think so long as that everybody's clear and that we're clear as to what the boundaries are and, you know, exactly what is expected of everybody, that's the main thing, is kind of just keeping the lines of communication open, isn't it? And just making sure that everybody knows where they stand and literally where they stand in which
Yeah,
box.
well, yes. And where they stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
And
as well, it'll just be that first session, won't it?
yeah, I mean, within 5 minutes, everybody's going to be back on the horse, and you know,
Definitely.
as I say, the personal space stuff, it's going to be like we've never been away, and it's you know, you're very, very quickly going to fall back into the habit of supportive training.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as we were talking about earlier, then you can start, you know, hanging other habits onto that.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Because it's kind of, I think a lot of people have created some great habits within lockdown, and you know, it's kind of just making sure that as the new routines come in, and then, you know, in August when we reopen, that they're maintained, but also then it'll change again. If you've got kids, the kids' schools will be going back in September, so it's kind of going to be a sort of step process, isn't it, of rebuilding habits and reinforcing current habits. Because I think that's, you know, that is also where some of the anxiety comes from as well, isn't it, with people, is kind of, oh, well, you know, I've actually, I'm drinking more water, I'm eating more veg, but is that going to change as we go into the next phase and the phase after that? But it's the habits that make the difference, isn't it, between sort of, you know, achieving stuff and smashing goals. It's those.
I mean, I was going to say, a lot of the stuff you do, a lot of the stuff I do is creating habits, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just the little things, isn't it, you know? And I think it's about just making sure that those small daily things that you're doing, they're the things that you focus on, rather than worrying too much about, you know, that, because that's the I think the sort of, I suppose the temptation is to go right back in the gym and I'm going to smash it and have this massive goal that I want to hit by Christmas. I'm going to do the X, Y, and Z. And I think that we have to be quite careful and be realistic about, so when we're going back into that environment, it's actually, you know, yes, goals are fantastic and we need to have things to train towards and to aspire to, but we've got to make sure that they're realistic, because there is going to be a lot of change. I think it's kind of applying that law of reasonableness with yourself and with each other, and making sure that actually, you know, let's just take it one step at a time, and let's just build it up, get back to, you know, that sense of normality that within the gym, and then over time, you know, just creating smaller goals, and that's, you know, and then over time the bigger goals will happen, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
So.
it you know, you can, as you do, as I do, you know, you can, you know, you've got a habit in place and you can hang other habits onto it. You know, even something as daft as you get up every morning and make a cup of coffee, well, have a drink of water while your kettle's boiling.
Yeah.
You know, and that's your first drink of water. You know, you're waiting for the kettle to boil so you can get your coffee in or your tea or whatever you start your day off, or even if you top water with lemon in, you know, but have a glass of water, then just stack that habit on top of the habit that's already existing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
And
one
then
of
you're
those
all,
things, I've been asked about that quite a lot, you know. It's like, oh, I don't drink enough water, and you know, it's kind of, for me, you know, and I've been the same actually. I slipped out of drinking water probably at the beginning of lockdown. I became the queen of coffee. I drank so much coffee, and I used to be brilliant at drinking water. I've managed to get back into it again, she says, with an empty Earl Grey cup of decaf tea. But I have had my water this morning. But yeah, a lot of people say, you know, and it's kind of, it's how to do that, isn't it? And my top tips, when I know I'm completely digressing here, but when it comes to water, especially in the summer when it's hotter and you're training and you're sweating more, for me, the big thing that worked for me was what you just said, is when I wake up, before I have my cup of tea or coffee, well, it's tea at the moment, I always make sure that I drink a glass of water first, and I'm not allowed my cup of tea before I have my glass of water. And the other thing for me is I have a bottle that I really like drinking out of, and
right, yeah.
I lost it. I left it at my sister's house, and then it turned up at her girlfriend's house. And I was like, that bottle, I have been dying, I didn't know where that bottle was. Got my bottle back, and lo and behold, I'm drinking loads of water again.
Water again, yeah.
You know, it's nuts, but it's kind of just little things like that. There's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing, but it's just little things for me that kind of enable me to succeed in my habits. And the other one was.
But once you've got that.
Go on.
Sorry, go on.
No, sorry, go. Too polite.
I was going to say, once you've got that first glass in, then the others follow from the other habits that you're doing. You're carrying your favourite bottle around with you. And it's those things that make it easier to, you know, you want to eat more fruit. Don't keep it in the fridge. Put it in a fruit bowl on a table in a room that you inhabit a lot.
Yeah.
Because you'll find that you just naturally go, actually, you know what, I'll eat an apple.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
You know, and it's that sort of stuff that, again, it's just making it easier. Making it easier to do the habit than it is to not do it.
That's right, yeah. I think, and it's daft things as well. It's even just taking I would take omega-3s, I think you do, and I know I'd forgotten to take them, so I was like, right, they are now next to the kettle.
Yep.
So they're next to the kettle, kettle's next to the tap, and it's like, right, I do that, and I do that.
My supplement box on my pill, you know, as I say, I'm on the omega-3. I'm taking a joint supplement as well at the minute, just giving it a try from one of the bulk powders ones.
Oh, I've just bought that actually for Mike with the vitamin D. It's like a yellow soft gel.
Yeah. These are like a powder-filled capsules. Right. They're the you know, they're black and green range. The one that's all, so it's those ones. They were on half price, and I thought, well, my knees aren't getting any younger, my shoulders aren't getting any younger. I'll give them a try, and they are pretty good actually. Yeah, they are pretty good.
They were.
So, but I've got my pill box, which, like you, I'm right next to the coffee machine, and it drives Syra up the wall because it's out and it should be in a cupboard.
Yeah,
but if it's in a cupboard, I don't take them. I forget.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but Syra's she's brilliant at going, right, okay, you know, I haven't had my energized my vitamin tablets this morning, the effervescent ones.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't had those this morning, so I'll take them. And you know, I'll sort of randomly walk into the kitchen and there'll be a glass with one of these dissolved in it for me and my supplement next to it as well. As I say, I find it so much easier if it's out, and it's you know, it's just how people work, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is. Funnily enough, I bought the Atomic Habits, who I know you've read the book as well, and I think quite a few people who know about the James Clear book, Atomic Habits. And I bought myself the diary.
I was going to say, I saw you'd got the diary.
Yeah, I haven't opened it yet.
Is it 2021, the diary that you got?
No, it's the journal. It's the journal. And ironically, it's still sat on my desk because it's a funny thing. And I just read another quote of his about procrastinating and not taking action. And I thought, wow, yeah, that has been me down to a T quite a lot recently, of just putting things off for no apparent reason. So I've got the habit journal there on my desk, ready to complete, so that I can actually stack some more habits. And, you know, there are a few things that I want to do. And it's just reminded me that I need to open that. Would be a start, wouldn't it?
That's how Mr. Aurelius, and Marcus Aurelius, started with. He was all the stuff that, you know, the Stoicism that Steve reads and stuff.
Yeah.
That started with Marcus Aurelius, just journaling every day.
Right.
And he used to journal. I think he used to journal on an evening, or Plato used to journal on an evening.
Right.
You know, after, you know, and just write down, you know, kind of how his day had gone and what he was feeling and that sort of stuff. And yeah.
Oh, watch this space, folks. It could be Charlotte.
There you go.
New 21st century Stoic philosopher.
Yeah, I think he's got translated in the late 1700s or 1800s. So Don't leave it that long to A, start, and
Yeah.
B, well, you won't need to translate them, will you? But
No.
don't leave it
I've
that
come to
long.
the party a little late, but I've arrived. Yeah.
It's just a
So yeah.
good way of organising your thoughts. It's a brain dump process, isn't it? Especially if you
Yeah.
journal, on a night, on
Yeah.
an evening, as part of your sleep routine. And again, it's that other habit, isn't it, of that sort of, preparing for bed, preparing for sleep.
Yeah.
And journaling can be a fantastic way of just brain dumping. I've
Mm.
got to do this tomorrow. I've got to, I want to get this, and this are my 3 work goals.
Mm.
This, and this are my 3 health goals.
Yeah.
And I just think it is a great way of just, Steve Peters would be saying, you're taking your chimp out for a walk, preempting everything so that you can, appease it at 2 a.m. Go, no, it's all right, guys. We've written everything down. We know what tomorrow is. We don't have to stress
Yeah.
about something late at night. Because I think a lot of the sort of people that we speak to are saying that sleep has been difficult as well during lockdown.
Yeah, I think so. And I think and a lot of that, like you say, can be kind of negated through a decent so I think we've done it in a previous podcast, haven't
Yeah.
we, about the kind of, how to get a better night's sleep. And but that's when your anxieties do come out, don't they? You that broken sleep, and things like switching your electronics off, as well as sort of brain dumping with your journaling. But switching electronics off and sleeping in a nice cool room and all that kind of stuff, it really does help. Because people's anxieties have gone up and down, haven't they, throughout lockdown. And like you say, it's kind of coming through probably like
Some awesome podcasts.
Pardon?
We've done some awesome podcasts.
Yeah.
They haven't all just been random
rambles.
meanderings of consciousness. They've actually, some of them have had a topic and all sorts.
Valuable information somewhere in there. I know, yeah. But yeah, we've got 2 weeks until we open, haven't we? It's not long to go, really. It's 2 weeks on Monday. So hence why Steve isn't here with us today. But it's it's going to be an interesting time, and I think it's quite good that it's fallen in August before the kids go back to school, so it is enabling people to kind of sort of almost phase their return back into the gym before then they've got to deal with kids going back to school, which is a whole other ball game. So it's going to give people that time to phase in. And we will be ready, and we've got a whole new layout in the gym as well, which is going to be fantastic. And it's just people are going to have to bear with us, aren't they, within those first few weeks, and as we make sure that all the systems and the processes are running smoothly, which they will be. But
bit of practice before.
Pardon?
Bit of practice beforehand, and we'll get it sorted.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's important that people just take each day as it comes, and try not to get overwhelmed by it all. And like I said before, just not coming in with big massive goals that they want to try and smash within the next 6 weeks. Breaking it down into smaller chunks for definite, But yeah, and like you say, going back to the sort of the habits, things like food prep, and making sure, because at the moment, I think for me as well, when you're at home, you're able to prep your meals and you're just going from the garden or wherever you are back into the kitchen. But it's starting to think, maybe take the next couple of weeks to start to think about those kind of things, and how are you going to prep before you go into training and when you go home, and just how you're going to structure your day, because some people will be going back to work as well. And I think it's important to just kind of get prepared, really, isn't it? Just take a bit of time to get prepared as well. But have you got any sort of top tips, Si, in terms of nutrition, and when people are kind of getting back into the gym training? Because some people won't have done an awful lot in lockdown and will be coming back into the gym for the first time and doing stuff for the first time as well for a few months.
I think, give yourself that level of forgiveness of you may have I had 4 plates on a deadlift, but if you haven't done anything for the last 4 months, you ain't going to have 4 plates on a deadlift. And that's all right.
Mm.
Draw a line under it. Don't judge yourself. It's happened. There's nothing you can do to change it. Beating yourself up about it and going back and saying, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done the other, isn't going to move you any further forward. So give yourself that permission to forgive, accept where you are, and enjoy the process of building back up again. Because it's you go back and redo all of those 2 plates on a deadlift PR and 3 plates on a dead, whatever it might be, but enjoy that process again. But don't start beating yourself up about, I used to be able to do this, I used to be able to do that. Take it where you are. We always say that we meet our clients where they are and move them to where they want to be. And you can do that with your own intrinsic, extrinsic motivator, but actually the main thing, the starting point has got to be just appreciate where you are and take it as a fact, not good, not bad, just a point in fact.
Yeah. Because I do hear quite a lot of people saying, oh, I'm going to be back to square one. And it's a kind of, I always think that actually there isn't really a square one to go back to, because you've moved forward to wherever you've moved to, and you know, as a person you've probably changed as well. So I always think there isn't actually a square one to go back to. If you've spent the last 3 years training and then you've had 4 months off, or you've spent the last year training, or you've just got into your training and then went into lockdown, you're not going back to that person again, because you've moved forward anyway. So I think I would also think to try and get that out of your head, if you kind of, and just think actually it's the next phase. And actually it's quite exciting, because it's actually quite a good opportunity to reset things and to go over old ground. And I haven't deadlifted with a bar, and probably won't be for a while anyway, but I'm quite looking forward to going back and maybe going back on the lower weights and building back up again, and doing things slightly differently and trying new things and different ways of doing things. So it's almost like a new start and a new challenge and a new opportunity, rather than a back to square one, is how I would view it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It is, like you say, it's kind of like we said earlier, it's like apply that law of reasonableness to yourself. And also for those people who have been stuck in the comparison trap as well, because they've been on social media more and they've seen the mates or other people they know maybe training more, or perceived to be training more, because everybody obviously lives only their best life on social media.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of, if you've been sort of getting caught up into that sort of comparison trap as well, it's kind of that sort of, just try to think, actually, what, this is that new step forward now. It doesn't matter what anyone else has been doing. We're all kind of going back in on a level playing field in a way. And
it's that acceptance of where you are. It doesn't matter. What do you benefit from comparing yourself with somebody else? The only person, if they don't feel bad, they don't feel good. It doesn't change how they feel. The only person that it actually affects is you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're doing it on a negative, then the only negative effect it's going to have is on you as well.
Yeah. And you don't know what else is going on in their lives, do you? And nobody, unless you've got an identical twin, no one is the same. We're all individual, all got different things going on in our lives, different goals, and so you're kind of not comparing apples for apples, are you ever?
Yeah.
But it is we're our own worst enemies, aren't we? And it's kind of, I did a video on Instagram, I think, on this a couple of weeks ago, and it is, that it is an awful place to be in that comparison trap, because you're never going to get nothing good's going to come out of it, is it really? As you say. But
as I say, it's just accept where you are, accept where you want to be.
Yeah.
You're going to be going back into the gym, so you're going to have those extrinsic motivators. You're not it's not going to be kind of reliant on your intrinsic, your internal motivators. I train because I love training, and that's what gets me, because I'm really excited to get up at 7 o'clock and jump on the echo bike and do 22 15-second interval, said no one ever.
22.
But yeah. And that's the difference between the internal and intrinsic and extrinsic motivators, isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
We're
Yeah.
going to be back into the gym. So appreciate that once those nerves settle, you're going to have all of those external factors which are going to motivate you, but just rein them in a little bit.
Yeah.
Rein them in a little
Yeah.
bit. Don't
And I
go
think,
too.
yeah, because also you want to think, you might go back in the gym and be prepared to not feel great. Be prepared to maybe, to not feel like you're lifting amazingly or whatever else. Be prepared to just to be in there and just enjoy it for what it is, because
Embrace the suck.
Train for a while. Pardon?
Embrace the suck.
Yeah, because the first couple of sessions might be tough. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that when you come back in, we're going to give you an absolute beasting of your life. That's not going to happen. It's just, but it might be hard, and that's fine. And but just accept that, and be thankful that you've just managed to get into the gym and that you're training again, and just get yourself back into that routine of just showing up and just getting the work done. Because or you might be the other way, and you might feel 100% motivated for the first week or two, and it'd be amazing, and you can have some great sessions, and then all of a sudden you might go, oh, and that slump happens. Yeah. And it's that, we've mentioned it before with motivation, that dips, but that doesn't mean you stop training. That doesn't mean that those sessions that you don't feel so great, you just use them to learn from them, learn from your mistakes, and just keep plodding on, because the motivation will come back, and you'll have great days and you'll have crap days, and it's just that kind of roller coaster. So be prepared for the different emotions, and just process them, and try not to react, and just respond rather than react. Lots of advice in this one today, Si. But yeah,
what do you do with,
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, what do you do with your meal prepping stuff then? I mean, how do you meal prep? I know you do your overnight oats for your sort of early morning breakfast stuff.
Yeah, so it depends who I'm cooking for, really. It depends whether the girls are with me or not. So, but I do a lot of one pot cooking. I always have done. I think it stems from my upbringing, really, because I was in a large household with lots of kids. So my mum used to do the same. So I tend to cook too much, and then I'll either freeze it or I'll just continue eating it, which the girls really can't bear, because we're having the same thing again tomorrow. It's like, yep.
Fire is the thing.
It's like, yep.
So we can do kind of one day and the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, any more than that, and it's
so that's what I tend to do. I tend to cook in bulk, and then just either freeze or just keep eating it, depending on what it is, and adapting it. With vegetables, much to everyone's delight, I also do the same. So excuse me, my dog's just come in. I'm just gonna with vegetables, I tend to do the same. So I always steam or roast my veg. So I'll always cook too much, so that, say for example, the next morning, yes, I eat vegetables for breakfast. So the next morning I'll then have some left over from the night before, and I'll just bung them all in the pan, depending on what it is I'm having. So that tends to be, for me, that's the easiest way for my lifestyle as to how I do it. Sometimes if I'm super organized, I'll spend a couple of hours on a Sunday, but that doesn't tend to work so well for me, just because I'd rather just plan my meals in advance and know what I'm cooking. I do that sometimes if I'm feeling that organised, and I know that does work for some people. I'm lucky because I work funny hours, so I have time during the day sometimes to prep during the week, but I know some people don't, and I know that if I've got a busy week ahead, and I'm being super organised, then I might do that on a Sunday and spend a couple of hours prepping. So yeah, it's a bit flexible really. I don't have a rigid routine, but I do overnight oats. I tend to make 3 days worth, and then I'll do another
Right.
3 days worth. So yeah, I've got one of those cupboards which you open and then all the Tupperware falls out.
No lids. No lids, just loads.
Every now and again, I'll sort them all out, and they're all stacked up, nice
Yes.
and neat. And then somebody empties the
And the
dishwasher
cupboard
and
shut.
they fling them in. And then I shout.
And the cupboard stop shutting.
Yeah. How about you? What's your
Yeah, I
meal?
know a couple of.
Do much meal prep, or you don't, or do you tend not to because?
No, I mean, I tend to cook a lot sort of fresh. You know, again, I'm lucky I've got that bit of time, and I do enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
If I'm meal prepping, I tend to just, if I'm using the slow cooker, for example, I tend to just sort of slow cook the protein part.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because I'm a big fan of the sort of microwavable veggie, be it Iceland's frozen ones, which, you know, I mean, some people turn their nose up at frozen veg, but, you know, they are frozen within 2 hours of coming out of the field, out of the ground, off the stalk.
Yeah.
You know, the vitamins are still, they're still in there, they're still preserved. You know, even just, if you think about the taste between sort of potted peas that you might buy, you know, you go to Sainsbury's and get a bag of potted peas, and then you open them up thinking, oh, these are going to be awesome, they're going to be so sweet, and then you open them up and they taste like paper. It's like, it's because all of the sugars have turned to starch, which is why you've lost that sweetness, but also the vitamin stuff, you know, whereas you don't lose that sweetness in the frozen peas, because they're frozen, they're preserved, and these preserving.
And you get a bag that big for £1, don't you, when they're fresh? And then you get a bag that big for £1 when they're frozen. Yeah. So,
yeah. So I mean, frozen veggies, and it's only really kind of quite recently that I started using more frozen veg. As I say, I've always been a big fan of the sort of, you know, sprouting broccoli. Just stick a packet in the microwave while you're warming through the protein part, and then put, you know, your rice and grains in the microwave. You know, within coming into the house from a day's work, you know, because it's in the slow cooker, you're eating, you know, your protein, your grains, and your veggies, fresh within, you know, within 10 minutes. And so that's how I tend to do it. I tend to just do my protein.
Right. Yeah, it's a good way to do it, isn't it? I think, like you say, on the veggies, I buy frozen green beans. Some people will be chuckling because they know how many I eat. A lot of green beans. Frozen.
So we've got 2 in the year.
Frozen spinach, because I put that in smoothies, and I sometimes put it in curries. Peas, sweet corn. I'm not a fan of frozen broccoli, I have to say. And I like I get a lot of frozen raspberries and blueberries and strawberries, purely because then I can buy it in bulk and I know it's there. Whereas if what tends to happen is if I don't, it doesn't always get eaten if it's in the fridge, because people just sometimes don't really look in the fridge unless I'm in the house, so it doesn't get eaten. So it's kind of, I tend to buy quite a lot of frozen veg, and like you say, it's fine. It's once you just stick it in the steamer or whatever. I know you use the microwave a lot more, don't you? But I tend to just steam everything. It does work well. But funnily enough, I've actually had a week this week where I've not eaten any meat.
Right.
So I've decided that I'm going to try and cut meat out, for health and for ethical reasons, really. Just trying to reduce that sort of footprint on the environment, but also just from a health perspective as well. I've over lockdown managed to get into we just seem to be eating more meat. I don't know why, it just seemed to happen. We've got a really good butchers down the road, to be fair, but I would have ultimately one day, I think I would like to go down the vegan route, but I'm just one step at a time. I think.
Are you staying with fish then? And
at the moment, yes. Yeah, just for ease, really, because not everyone in the house wants to do the same, and we've got quite a lot of fish in the freezer, so So yeah, at the moment, so yeah, a little bit of fish, but just taking the meat out, and I'm trying to cut down on the dairy. So I'm drinking hemp milk and oat milk, which I've drank oat milk for quite a long time, but I've just found Sainsbury's have stopped hemp milk now, so which is great. So I have that in my tea, and coconut milk. So yeah, feel quite good so far. I'm only on day 5, but I'll see how it goes. So yeah.
No cravings.
No, none whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I thought also for me, it was a good way to try and get some more vegetables into me, you know, by default. Although I have been eating a lot of omelettes because I've just been like, oh, I'm in a rush, right? Okay, omelette. Yeah, I haven't meal prepped this week. I've meal prepped my overnight oats and that's it. So omelette it is, right? Okay.
You know, yeah, I mean, omelettes are a big old staple breakfast for me as well.
Yeah. Oh, and tea. Been having them for my tea.
But they're great. I mean, you can, you know, with a veggie omelette, you can almost get, I mean, you can, I reckon with 4 eggs, you can comfortably get 4 portions of veggies in.
Yeah.
You're already on a massive, you know, you're over halfway there to your, you know, well, I mean, obviously you're 5, but you're 7 portions of fruit and veg a day. You know, you're a good chunk in, and you've ticked 1 meal. I think they're great. I love omelettes.
Yeah, that's it. And I think as well, you know, for quite a while I have been quite obsessed about the amount of protein that I've been getting. And obviously as we're both older, you know, it's really important. But I think I'm quite keen to explore how I can do that through, you know, grains and vegetables and pulses rather than through meat, because it is absolutely doable. And I think, but my obsession with protein is probably kind of sort of has lessened, shall we say.
I think as long as you get your, you know, it's the leucine, isn't it? You know, which we both know.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, as long as you're, you know, you're hitting that and a reasonable level of protein, then yeah. But yes, you can do it. You know, vegetarian. Steve's done it with veggie and fish.
Yeah.
You know,
you can do it with vegan as well. It's just you've got to be a bit more creative.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got to be a lot more creative. I think with vegan, you do tend to have to respond, or you know, resort a bit more to shakes.
Yes.
You know, if you do want to get the higher protein, and obviously for vegan, you've got to rely on supplements for your omega-3s.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Which is why I'm just going vegetarian, sort of pescatarian at the moment. One step at a time.
Yeah.
Which
but again, I mean, you know, you've kind of hit the nail on the head. You know, and again, it's that all or nothing mentality that some people have.
Yeah.
And again, it's going to go back to you know, going back into the gym. People are going to want to go, right, okay, I'm back and I'm on it 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and right, I'm going vegan straight away.
Yeah.
You know, and without doing anywhere near as much of the research as you need to do, and or just giving yourself that bit of forgiveness so that it doesn't become another stick that you can beat yourself with.
Yeah, it's finding the grey area, the middle ground, isn't it, really? And the middle ground that suits you and your lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Cool, good stuff. Good conversation there, Si. Thanks for that.
Awesome. Have you got a quote?
I'm well aware that my dog has now joined me in the room, so if you hear some really deep panting, it's not me. It's my dog. She's just been on a long walk.
Now, it has been warm today, Shot. Are you struggling with the heat, or are you all right?
And she's just laid there and she is panting her little heart out, because she's a greyhound, so she's been sprinting probably, and it's warm. She's like hyperventilating next to me. I'm just like conscious she's probably quite close to the microphone, so I do apologise. So yeah, that's not me, it's Missy. Anyway, so we found quite a nice quote to end on. It's a James Clear quote. So if you haven't already read it, I mean, both Simon and I know Steve, we would highly endorse the book Atomic Habits. It's a great book. And James Clear, if you follow him on Instagram or anything, he's well worth looking at. But this one is quite apt, I think. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. The problem is not slipping up. The problem is thinking that if you cannot do something perfectly, then you shouldn't do it at all. Which is a good one, I think, quite relevant. And I think it's about just, just making sure that, that you do try, and that you just, better to have tried and failed than to have not tried at all, I think, is, and it's kind of absolutely true, I think.
And keep trying.
Yeah.
And don't, again, it's that, black or white, right or wrong mentality. I've fallen off the wagon, I've burnt the wagon, and I've left it 3 miles away. So now I'm going to have another full week of eating rubbish. Oh, just put it behind you. Absolutely. Start again.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Good stuff. Anyway, cheers for that, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Cheers, Simon. And we will look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Take care. Cheers now.
Take care, guys.
Bye.